Last night, I came home from work and saw my younger brother playing a game on his phone. His fingers were tapping non-stop, and his face looked tense. It seemed like he was losing. As I walked past the living room, I noticed the mess from that morning was still there. He had not cleaned it up, even though I had reminded him earlier. So I said, "Still have not cleaned the house after all that reminding? All you ever do is play games." As soon as I said that, he reacted immediately. He turned to look at me with clear annoyance, then got up abruptly, walked into his room, and slammed the door harder than usual. A typical reaction when emotions boil over. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Most of us would instinctively rush in, open the door, say a few more things, and try to get to the bottom of it. That uncomfortable feeling inside builds up so quickly that it needs to be released, and we often act before our brain even has a chance to think it through. When the other person is already on edge, we easily get pulled into that same tense state. Both nervous systems get triggered at the same time, and the atmosphere in the house heats up fast, even if it all started with something very small. But I did not do that, because I understood what was really going on in that moment. What is really happening inside the body. When my brother was losing his game, his nervous system was already in a state of stress. At that point, his body had started releasing adrenaline, which made his heart beat faster, his muscles tense up, his hands clench, and his face feel hot, making him highly reactive. At the same time, cortisol levels were rising too, putting his body into high alert and making it very hard for him to calm down. These two hormones are actually meant to help us react quickly in life-threatening situations. But in everyday moments like losing a game or being criticized, they often lead to anger and irritability. In that state, just one more critical comment can feel like a direct attack on the brain, and it will immediately trigger an intense reaction. But that emotional wave does not last long. It typically fades after about 90 seconds. If during those 90 seconds there are no new words, no actions, and no further conflict, the body will naturally begin to calm down. Our nervous system is built to restore balance. Stress hormones like adrenaline gradually decrease, the heart rate slows down, and the feeling of frustration softens, even if the issue has not been resolved yet. Why does anger last longer? Each wave of anger usually only lasts about 90 seconds. But the problem is, we rarely let those 90 seconds pass without reacting. When we see someone else reacting irrationally, we tend to fire back immediately. We say more, try to explain ourselves, or push to prove who is right. And every one of those actions reignites a new wave of tension. So the 90-second timer keeps getting reset over and over again, making the anger drag on because it is constantly being refreshed. In that situation with my brother, the fact that I did not open his door or say another word meant I did not add any new fuel to the fire. I gave that first wave of tension the chance to settle, just as the nervous system is naturally designed to do. That is the entire point of the 90-second rule, to stop a temporary emotional reaction from turning into a long, drawn-out conflict. The choice point between trigger and reaction. Once you understand the 90-second rule, something really important begins to reveal itself. Between the moment you get triggered and the moment you react, there is always a very brief space, a moment of choice, where things can go in a completely different direction. In my case, with my brother, right after he slammed the door harder than usual, I stood at a crossroads. I could have opened the door and kept talking, or I could stop right there. Most people do not notice this moment. As soon as that uncomfortable feeling shows up, they act on it right away. The mouth moves before the mind catches up. The reaction comes before awareness. But now that you have watched this video, you know that in every stressful situation, there is always that moment of choice. And as long as you pay attention, you will start to notice it more and more clearly each time it happens. Whenever you feel your emotions rising, instead of getting swept up in them, pause for a few seconds. Ask yourself what emotions are showing up, how tense your body feels, and what kind of reaction is being triggered inside. In my case, when my brother slammed the door, of course I was annoyed too. I really wanted to storm in and say something, but I stopped myself and instead took a second to observe what I was feeling and just noticed it without reacting. That short pause helped me avoid getting carried away by emotion. It gave me the space to choose whether I wanted to trigger another round of tension or not. The observing self. Emotional immunity. Once you are able to pause for a few seconds at that moment of choice, something very interesting starts to happen. You are no longer completely in the emotion. You start to see your emotion happening. Instead of saying, "I am angry," you notice, "There is a feeling of anger inside me." They may sound the same, but these are two completely different states of mind. When you say, "I am anger," you are fully caught in it. Every thought, every word, and every action is driven by that emotion. But when you say, "I am experiencing anger," you are stepping slightly outside of it. You still feel uncomfortable, but the emotion no longer takes over your entire being. You have the power to set it aside if you want. This observing self is like a safe inner space within you. From that place, you can see your emotions come in, build up, and then fade away, as long as you do not keep feeding them with more words or impulsive actions. That is why some people seem so calm, even in stressful situations. It is not because they do not feel anything. It is because they are used to observing rather than getting pulled into it. This ability is not something you are born with. It is built through repeated practice by pausing often and simply noticing what emotion is happening inside you at that moment. And when you become used to observing your emotions like this, you begin to develop a special kind of emotional immunity. Not that you stop getting triggered, but you stop getting triggered in ways that hurt yourself or others. Am I just letting people walk all over me? At this point, many people wonder, if I keep pausing like this, am I just letting things slide? If I do not say anything right away or respond strongly, will the other person think they are right and just keep doing it again? Actually, pausing does not mean you are ignoring the issue. It just means you are choosing not to deal with it through tension and stress. When both people are heated, continuing the conversation rarely helps. In fact, it usually makes everything worse. By the end, who was right or wrong no longer even matters. In the case with my brother, the fact that I did not say anything more in that moment did not mean I let it go. It just meant I chose to talk about it later, when we were both calmer. Once the emotions have cooled, that same issue can be discussed calmly, or even with a little humor. When you look at it from this angle, you will see that in most relationships, every problem has multiple ways to be resolved. The only difference is whether you choose to solve it through tension or through peace. Seeing difficult people as emotional trainers. Once you become familiar with pausing and observing your emotions, here is another powerful way to keep your emotional balance. Change how you see the difficult people around you. They are no longer just frustrating, they become emotional trainers, helping you see exactly where you are, still vulnerable. They are your test. The boss who criticizes you is testing how well you stay calm under pressure. The relative who keeps snapping at you is tapping into your need to feel heard. The person who mocks you may be touching on insecurities you have not worked through yet. Just like in fitness training, the exercises that hurt the most usually target the muscles that are the weakest. It is the same with emotional growth. The most annoying people in your life are often the ones who show you exactly where you still get triggered too easily. When you look at them this way, you are no longer in the role of a victim. You shift into the mindset of someone who is benefiting. When you begin to respond with awareness and reflection instead of defensiveness and avoidance, your emotional strength grows quickly. Changing how you respond to everything. Not every negative situation needs to be endured. In fact, most negative situations can be flipped into something positive if you change the way you show up in them. Take a super common example, being stuck in traffic. Your first instinct is probably frustration, impatience, and stress because you are running late. But if you cannot make the cars move any faster, you still have other choices. You could treat it as a rare few minutes to sit still. You could look around at the neighborhood you usually rush past. Listen to a song you love. Maybe even strike up a chat with the cute guy sitting next to you. Still traffic, but a totally different experience. Or something heavier, like the time I was scammed and lost some money. Of course, my natural reaction was to be angry, blame myself, and feel bitter. And yeah, I felt a little of that. But I chose to stay calm. I saw it as a lesson so that next time I do not lose even more. Even getting sick can be a kind of reminder. A reminder to listen to your body more closely. Not every situation is fun, but how you respond to it can make it feel much lighter or much heavier. When you start to see life this way, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this, and how can I grow?" And that shift from resistance to understanding is what helps you get through tough things without being crushed by them. The practice roadmap. So now you know quite a bit about how emotions work and how to manage them. But knowing is not enough. What really matters is practice. So how do you practice? Here is a roadmap you can follow. Whenever something makes you angry, pause for a few seconds and notice what is happening inside. Is your heart beating fast? Is your body tense? Is your mind pushing you to say or do something right away? That awareness will help you choose whether to stop or to kick off another round of tension. Next, shift your perspective on the people who frustrate you. Instead of thinking, "Why is this person so annoying?" see them as an emotional test. They help you spot where you still get triggered too easily and give you the chance to try responding differently. Then, start changing how you react to unpleasant situations. Whatever it is, getting stuck in traffic, losing money, feeling sick, try to reframe it in a positive light. Traffic might become time to enjoy the view. Losing money might be a lesson. Getting sick might be a reminder to care for your body. You do not have to do it all at once. You do not have to do it in every situation. Just pick one thing to focus on for a week. Over time, your new responses will start to feel natural. You will not need to force anything anymore. That is how emotional regulation becomes a real part of your life, bit by bit, but for the long haul. So, what do you think about what we shared in this video? Let me know in the comments below. And if there is something on your mind that you have a hard time talking about, something you would like us to make a video on, leave it in the comments too. We are definitely looking for more video ideas. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. See you next time!